I'm going to totally switch gears
Okay.
for a moment, Terry, and talk about your transition into radio in the late 1970s. You worked with a gentleman, Ron Clay. I want you to talk about those years and then the unfortunate kind of final chapter with Ron. And then your transition to WHAS, how you wrote a letter of 84 reasons.
Oh, you
which
know
we'll
that,
Yes,
huh?
I do my research.
You did good research.
Thank you.
That's another triumphant moment I'll come back to. But let me tell you about Ron Clay. I got tired of being on the air in Lexington. I was on for 4 years. I was just kind of stuck. I was like on a hamster wheel. My brother Lou, my oldest brother, was up in Indianapolis, and he had a store there. And he said, why don't you just come up here and do this for a while? So I went up there and ran it for a month. I was miserable doing that. It wasn't for me.
Right.
I missed being on. And then I called Louisa Henson at WLRS and said, hey, you got a job? She goes, yeah, I'll find something for you. She was great.
That's awesome.
And so she gave me the promotions director job. And I thought, that's perfect. I'll be great at that. And I said, just one thing. I don't want to be on the air anymore. That I'm bored with that.
You are bored with the
Correct. So this
You
is
heard it here first.
This is late 1980.
Okay.
And then, naturally, the young woman that's on in the evening calls in sick or whatever. Terry, get in there.
Right.
The afternoon drive guy, his car is broken down. Can you get in there? So then I'd go in and go, all right, hey, I'm Terry, LRS, blah, 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 blah. Just playing music and doing my thing. And then the Ron Clay started his morning show. He'd already been on it. But his partner was Dan Burgess. He goes to HAS, and so they said, we need you to go in there on the morning show and try that. Well, Ron was hilarious because he was just like this jaded hippie guy.
Yeah.
Hey, man. And he was just being himself on the air,
Right.
but he was really sardonic, and he had this sort of soured on life kind of attitude. It was funny. And then I'm the preppy boy coming in
Right.
with the, hey, well, this is great. Hey, wait a minute. So we were
Right.
we were a great match. And of course we were embellishing our roles a little bit because it's showbiz. And it just made for a perfect kind of odd couple sort of thing. And we'd push each other back and forth on various things. And it caught on quickly.
Well, there was no social media. For
Correct.
Those that
But we were all the rage.
There was a time
And
in the
then
world when there was no social media.
they figured out we need to put you clowns on TV too. So they set up TV cameras. It's like we're in a studio here.
Right.
They set up some TV cameras and they said, you talk on the radio, and then when you play the music on the radio, the cameras are still on. So now you can entertain just the people watching on cable TV.
Nice.
So we'd say, we'd do our little jokes, then we'd play Led Zeppelin, and then the music would come on the radio, and then we'd look at the cameras and say, well, we're going to tell you a little secret those dummies on the radio don't know. And then we'd make up these outlandish lies about
I'm on
things.
autopilot over here, folks. You'll just go on.
We'd make up these outlandish stories. And so the people who were watching on cable were delighted that they were on there. It was like a little secret club thing going on.
Right.
And then they came into us one day and they said that, it was doing great. They played music videos later. They said, I'm sorry, the cable company is going to yank our show and they're replacing it with something new called MTV. And we said, that'll never work.
Never.
So that ended my first TV stint. But Ron taught me things that my horizon wasn't open wide enough.
Right.
And so in those early days of just doing comedy stuff with him, he taught me to question authority. Because I went through the Catholic school system and was like,
Right.
yes, sister,
Obedient.
I'll do that, sister.
Right.
Here's your water, sister. Here's, whatever.
Right.
That's all I know is yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, sit down, shut up. And then when you get on the radio with this guy who was, I think, dishonorably discharged from the Army. He was not very effective as an American soldier, let's put it that way.
God rest his soul.
God rest his soul. He was a great guy, but he was
Yeah.
hilarious. He was probably smarting off to the drill sergeant. He didn't
Probably.
like that too much. He taught me, he's expanded my comedy envelope, and so both in radio and TV, just from those experiences. And then it was time for us to move to QMF, and because they
big.
called, well, they called and said they were in town, they couldn't beat us. We were killing everybody in the ratings.
Well, yeah, I mean,
So the
I
guy who
remember
owns
I listened
QMF
to it.
calls and he goes, how much money do you make? And I said, well, I don't know, how much you got? and so anyway, he gave us about a 35% raise right away to come the next day.
Wow.